Welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to talk about some new features of Simumatik environment. And this is quite useful if you have a lot of physics components in your environment. So let's see the example in this environment in which we have some conveyors. And if I start this simulation, you might be aware of that. There are some cans coming in green and blue. And based on the position of the cans, the cylinder will stop the green cans and allow only blue cans to follow as a priority. Okay, so in this example, it's very good. We have cans are running on the conveyor and we have a cylinder. So for sure we have physics component because this is going to stop the can like we will see now, like that. So we have some physics going on in this environment. So let's see how we can debug this physics of this can and the cylinder. So for that, let's see, we want to see how the cylinder has been defined in a physics environment. So if I select the cylinder, and I can go to pause, I select the cylinder, and you will see on the left side on the cylinder we have an option here. So you can select this and enable Debug Physics. Now when you start the simulation, you will notice there is an outlining on this pool, and this outlining is changing the colors. So we'll see it's white, and then it's get blue, and then it gets green. So what does this mean? First, let's just pause the simulation here. And here you will see this white outlining defines this contact points for the physics. Okay, so here you can imagine there could be collision at these points. All right, and the different color means if it's white, this is active. If this is blue, light blue, it is settling down. And when it's green, that means it's sleeping. Okay, so let's see one more example. We will see when the cans are coming together, which is here. So I will play this again and I will pause here. And to have more clear view, I will just go here to workspace setting and reduce the speed. I will make it, let's say 40%, and I will select this component and debug the physics as well. So now when we do start simulation, you will see both of these components has debug physics enable, and here you will see they're going to have a collision and this will stop like this. So this is one way to find out how the physics has been defined for the component using this debug feature. And this you can enable for all the physics components. You can also do that for this component here, and I can do the debug physics. So the coloring is important because when it's white, it means it's active. So physics engine will use its power to on these components to understand the physics. If it's getting green and blue, then it's sleeping. So physics engine will use other components which are white. So that's how you can categorize your physics objects, which one is enabled, which one is sleeping. All right. Let's see what else we have. We have another feature on this workspace settings. If you go here, you will see debug contact points. So this debug contact points will show you the contact points of the object and where you can find out to the objects which are colliding. So when you enable these contact points, we can see how the object interact with each other. Okay. So let's enable that, and now I will play again, and you will see these yellow color are the contact points of this physics objects. And this you will also see in one of this example. So let me just increase the time relation to 1. And now you can able to see this is coming for the golf balls as well. Hopefully, I think the balls are finished, and let me start again. And then you will see contact points for each objects here. So if you want to learn more about this contact features, contact points, and debug physics, you can see a link on the video. You can click on that. There's some information about it, and you can study that more in detail. So I hope this feature will help you to understand the physics objects more in your environment. If you have any questions or doubt, you can just post a comment on this video about debugging physics. Let's see what we have in the next feature. Okay, before I go to another feature, I want to mention that the static objects like this one, which you can see it's conveyor guide, if I enable the debug physics for that as well, this will always remains green. Okay, now green and white has a different meaning. When it's green, it means this component is sleeping. You can see that here on the cylinder, this is white and this changes to blue and then changes to green. When it changes to green, it means it doesn't have to have any, it is not interactive with any physics component. This will save your physics engine power. So you can see that white means it's active, blue means it's going to sleep, it is settling down, and green means it's sleeping. So when it's green, it is not interacting. When it's white, it is awake. And for static component, it's always green. So this is by default. All right, so let's see the next feature. In the next feature, I want to talk about how you can have a constraint debug as well. So I'm sure you know about constraint. If you're not, we have a separate video about that. You can see how the constraints are working. So let me just bring it back to my default camera view. Okay, so let's take an example. I will show you an example by adding a component here. So I will just go to control and add component, and let's see a box, a small box, and I will load that. Small box is here. Now let's bring it maybe here, and let's bring it outside here. Now, if I run the environment now, because it has a physics, it will drop down. Okay, because it has a gravity effect on the box, it will bring it box down to the floor. Now we can add constraints to this box. This is just an example. You can add constraint to anything you want in your environment. So if I add a constraint to this box, so I go to my control, I know my box is here, and I will add a constraint, and let's target box constraint, so we know it's for the box. Click OK. And now in this constraint, you can see which axis you want to add constraint. So let's say I want to put only for the Z axis. This is just for explanation. And the child is the component where I want to add this constraint. So in this case, this is my box. So I'll just add here, box small, body, okay. Now this box has a constraint. And what is this constraint? It has some limits. This limit means it has minimum limit of 0 and maximum of 1. And this is in meters. So it can move from 0 to 1 meter only. Now the current position of this box is, if you see, it's 0. Okay, so if it's going down, if I play now, it will not go down because the minimum limit is 0. So if you see, if I play now, it will stay there because its constraint is 0 to 1, which is maximum is 1. So let me just change that now. I will go to my constraint again, and I will change this limit to minimum to minus 0.5. Click OK. And now you can see that it will go down to minus 0.5. So if I pause it, if you see current position is minus 0.5. Okay, it's still not on the ground because I have limit its constraint that it can only move between minus 0.5 to 1 meter. And if I want to see this constraint, that's what I'm going to tell you. That's the new feature. If you want to see what is a constraint, what's the limit of constraint, just go here and enable your debug constraint. And with that, you will see a black line, which will show its movement, where it is allowed to move. So you can see that this debug line is like this. So if I change this constraint now from minus 5 to plus 0.5, this line will come down. So that's the constraint now. This is the constraint between which the box can move. All right, so this was about, okay, this has been updated. So now this is, at the moment, if you see, it is at 0, and this minimum is minus 0.5, maximum is plus 0.5. This was about the constraint feature. You can debug the constraint as well. Another feature is we have some new shortcuts in our environment, which will make you more flexibly using this whole environment. So let's see what are the shortcuts. I want to highlight about first is moving the component. So if you see here right now, this is 3-axis movement. So if I just select this box and if I press W on my keyboard, this icon will come. So this is coming by default. Let's check another one. If I press E on my keyboard, I have this rotating axis. Okay, so I can rotate my component easily. And if I want to go back to my linear axis movement, I have to press W. And this will help you to move your box in linear axis. Pretty easy. This you can also do in another component. So for example, here I click now W, and that is for moving linearly. And if I click E, it's for rotating it. All right. And with W, I can easily move it. You can go ahead and check out this feature. It's Very nice. Now, if I want to duplicate this component, that's also very nice. So let me just first remove this box. We don't need it anymore. So if I want to duplicate this control box, I will select this component which I want to duplicate, and I have to press Shift D. If I do that, now it's duplicated. You can see there's a copy here, and I can move it here, and that's my duplicate component. Very interesting. Now, if I don't want this duplicate component, very easily you can delete that. Just select the component, press your delete button. It will ask for a confirmation, for sure it's necessary, and press yes, and the component is gone. Another interesting feature, which is my favorite one, is to hide the component. Now we know that in this control box we have several elements. The only way to see that before was you start the emulation and then you open the container, the door, and then you see the components inside. Now what you can do is, if you see when I select this one, all right, so you can see there is a small icon next to all the components. So that's my control panel, that's my box, compressor, power supply, regulator, and valve. So if I unhide this, if I hide this, you can see the other components you can see very easily. And I can also unhide that. Another way to do is you can just select the component. Let's reset the emulation. Select the component and press H. And with that, you can hide this component. And if you want to bring it back, you can definitely go there and bring it back. All right, another feature is if you want to isolate the component. Now, isolate means if you just want to see one component in your whole environment and you want to hide everything else but not that component. So in this case, let's take another example. I want to study the behavior of my cylinder. So I select my cylinder and then I press Shift H. This will hide everything else but the cylinder. So I can study my cylinder, explain it to whatever I want to do. And if I want to go back to my old environment in which I can see everything, you have to press Alt H, and this will bring back everything. So once again, select the component. Let's say I select conveyor this time. I pressed Shift H. This will isolate my conveyor. And this you only see because my physics is enabled. And if I go to Alt H, I will bring back everything. Okay. This was another shortcut. Another very important shortcut is if you see these panels are here and this panel is here. If I want to hide this panel, I can just click on N and this will hide my panel. So if I click N, my panels are hidden. If I press the N again, it will come back. So just hide and unhide. Another feature, last shortcut, is sometimes your camera is messed up. You are completely zoomed in or you don't know where you are. And if you want to reset that, if it's really annoying, just press Shift and C. This will reset the camera, and now you can see the camera is reset and you can quickly zoom in and zoom out however you want and see your components very clearly. All right, so these were the new features I wanted to highlight in this video. I hope you like them. If you don't, just let me know what new features you can add. And don't forget, we have a feedback button on the left, which you can always use to give us a feedback. And with your feedbacks, we are bringing new features. So thank you for watching this video and let us know if you can do something else for you. Have fun. Bye-bye.